HH13 on channel 6. Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you all so much for coming back in here to hear the voices of our friends tell their stories and learn a little more about this important organization in our area. I found out some statistics that I think you will hear in this presentation that just shocked me. And I hope that it shocks you too, because I don't like to think of this as such a widespread problem, and I have been confronted with what a widespread problem it is. So. We thank you for being here. If anybody's joined us online, we thank you also for joining us in this way. And so I will hand it over to whoever's talking first. Janie, very good.
Yes, thanks for taking time to be here as we sip our coffee together and learn, I hope. We really are grateful that we were in service to worship with you and to pray with you. Wonderful prayers. So I know that the Lord is with us and for us. I introduced, and you've seen my name, but this is Kara. You see her name on the slide, and Amber, both of whom are now, as you see on the slide, voices. I mentioned, and they've been entrusted and trained so they can tell some of their story out in places like this. So we're going to look at just a little bit of an introduction about Palomar, a place of hope and healing. Hope and healing are our guide words. And you sure need it when you arrive, don't you? And we work with various bad, tragic situations, but today we're going to focus mainly on domestic violence. Of course, you'll see in the statistic that it's not just women who suffer. We'll give you some statistics about others, males also, but the two women are here with us today. So, it's a complex process for survivor services, and this, as you see, has a parent and children walking in, supposedly, with all these different services they may need. And I want to ask Kara and Amber to begin with their story. Just when you first were in contact with Palomar, what were a couple of the services that you really needed the most right off the bat?
I feel so fancy. Anyway, for me, when I walked into Palomar, I had been strangled. He had taken all the money. He had done all the things that abusers do. And I walked in as broken as I could possibly have been. When I was given an advocate, and what that means is they basically diagnose the situation. And when you enter into Palomar, it's almost like a concierge service where you walk in there. Prior to Palomar, let's say even prior to the YWCA, which is one of the shelters here in town, and they were one of the most instrumental parts in my recovery. And I was met with, now when I went, there was only 14 partners. But what I know about walking in broken and seeking was that they were having to describe to me, it's different now. It's different. You don't have food. You don't have food. Your electricity's off. What are we going to do? And they have all these partners, and it's almost like they make the little calls for you, and they take the guesswork out of the trauma. And they literally led me through the process. I was with the Y, I did parenting classes.
So that's a couple of them. So so you needed some food, and you needed
some support.
Secure shelter.
Some therapy.
Secure shelter.
Oh, yeah.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Thank you. And Amber, what were a couple of the main services you needed early on?
I probably needed a little bit of everything. I was not as fortunate as Kara. I did not live in an area where Palomar and a family justice center was available to me at that time. I lived in Oologah, Oklahoma. Does anybody even know where that is? Okay, so I had to go to the Rogers County Courthouse, which was very scary and big. And so they did have advocates there who were able to help me to file for a protective order, which is one of the things that Palomar will help you do, which is really a scary process. But when you walk in, they have law enforcement people there who are able to help you get a protective order if that's something that you seek. It's one of the things that I think is the scariest, honestly, is having to go through the court process alone, as I did, and Palomar doesn't make you do that. You can have an advocate who will go with you and to the courthouse, shield you from your abuser, keep you in a separate area, and help you speak up. And I think that's personally one of the most instrumental pieces of the recovery process.
Thank you, Amber. So somebody comes, and then, as they've referred to, Karen, Amber have referred to, Palomar now has over 40 partners. The building we now lease at 11th and Hudson, Palomar runs the ground floor, which is the reception area, and then having the advocates who meet initially with the victim. What is it? Listen. And then upstairs, some of the partners' office in the building, all the domestic violence police officers, for instance, are there. No one now has to go down to the police department. The Y has people in the building. They're so important. And others. But others are off campus, but can be either called or spoken to virtually, or they come. They make an appointment and come. So of all the partners, you've already named a couple of them, but would you just briefly name a couple of the partners that were maybe not already named, that were very, very helpful to you?
Well, I still have to go back to the YWCA because what they do is, and to speak to what you were talking about, is I remember, and I was a frequent flyer there, I kept going, well, I guess I belong here. And so I kept going back for the healing. I kept going back for the classes that the Y was having. I kept going back to learn more about what I had been living in. And I mean, it's a full circle moment where, you know, I come into the Y or I come into Palomar, and this is the coolest thing. They also have an animal advocacy program where I took your glory. But they have, I'll let you tell about it because it's so neat. But the Y, you guys, they're the best. And what I was going to say is you're in a room, like in a triage room, basically.
Yes.
And it's just this Zen-like experience. I mean, for as much as Zen you can get. But, you know, it's just so finitely put together that when you walk in, it's the first time you've had the opportunity to breathe.
Yeah.
And that's all I want to say. But you talk about
Animal advocacy.
So one of the things that I think is really very neat about Palomar now, and also, just in case you know anyone, Divis also does this there in the Tulsa area, have animal advocacy now. And for me, that would have been instrumental in my process because I did not want to leave my dogs. And in fact, the day I had to flee, when I went back, I was terrified I was going to find them no longer alive. Because unfortunately, it is very common for abusers to also kill people's pets. So Palomar has fosters for any number of animals, not just dogs and cats. They've had goats, they've had snakes and lizards and bunnies and all. Yeah, so if you know someone and one of the things that is holding them in this relationship is fear of leaving their pets, please know there are people out there who can help and
Wonderful.
are willing.
Wonderful, yes. So you see the general categories on the screen of who the partners are. Isn't that quite a wonderful, sure, civil, legal, so, there are lawyers available, law enforcement, as I mentioned, mental health, housing, safety planning and advocacy, classes and support groups. Spiritual care has run support groups. That's, Kara, I got to know more through a healing circle and a group that was to, be able to talk some about your faith journey, both healthy and unhealthy, that had happened to you and along the way. We found an appropriate Bible study book that was quite good, appropriate especially for DV victims, for instance. So culturally specific services, that means there are Spanish speakers, there are other, not just people that look like me, European American me. Child welfare, we have a wonderful child sanctuary care. Somebody comes in, I'm there weekly and was listening to a victim who had just arrived for the first time. Her children were with somebody else being taken care of. I made sure to take her down to look so that she knew the next time she came where her children could be, her little preschool kids. Nurse exams, if someone needs an exam, that's available to them. As she mentioned, animal advocacy and so forth. Yeah, now let's go to the next. So sadly, as we've referred to, this is often not spoken about. We don't want to tell what's going on behind the doors. But look at these national statistics. 33% of women, 25% of men will experience domestic or sexual violence in their lifetime. 1 of 3 women, 1 of 4 men nationally. Homicide's a leading cause of death for women, pregnant women. Look at the cost, economic. Pregnant women.
Yes.
Murder.
Yes, ma'am.
Murder. Yes. It's horrifying.
And those are national statistics.
Yes. We're going to look next at Oklahoma. And 78% of children who witness violence, in their home, it's around them, they'll become perpetrators if they don't have intervention. So it's a generation thing. You may have grown up in a home that you heard. It's not always making bruises, is it? It's making bruises of your heart. And as Kara referred to it's control of money and cars and all that sort of. If you grew up in that, you may have that still coming through you and hopefully not living through you. But our hopes and prayers for doing these sessions out and about in the community is that we will help a family break through and break away from that generation to generation, passing down this is what a family's like. Let's look at the Oklahoma statistics next then. Worse. 49% of women, almost 1 in 2 women, 40% of men in Oklahoma have experienced, been around, had it in their lifetime. We are near the bottom of statistics for this, among the worst in the nation. Second in the nation for cases of women killed by men. That's not pregnant women like the other stat was, but just second in the nation.
This last year we had 122 murders.
Use your mic, please.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. This last year we had 122 murders attributed to domestic violence.
Yeah.
Last year, we had 122 murders directly related to domestic violence. We are in a crisis.
Yeah.
This is Oklahoma.
This is only Oklahoma, yeah. 245 million is the economic impact of this domestic violence every year here in Oklahoma. And 28% of families experiencing homelessness is because of this stuff.
Because homelessness is a safer option sometimes than staying. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a map that, first time I saw this, really impressed me deeply. Those dots represent a phone call to, this is only within Oklahoma City boundaries. Calls to police because of domestic violence in the year 2024. It's everywhere. We would like to say, oh, it's over there, it's with them. It must be because that just has to happen because they're poor and they're desperate for money. No, we know it's within very wealthy homes. Mm-hmm. Kara, maybe the first or second time I met with her when she found out there was spiritual care, told me the size home she was in and being controlled and abused. Trapped, yeah.
Golden handcuffs, so to speak.
Do you mind saying the square footage of your home?
I had a 5,000 square foot home. I was living in Oak Tree. I was trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trapped.
Yeah, that's such a painful but informative piece of information. You know, it's not, oh, that other race. They're the ones that do this, or the ones who are immigrants. It's not. I'm sorry to say, if you look up and down among yourselves, think of those statistics and you know. Look at your neighborhood. I'm sorry to say it's there.
I want to point out that Edmond will not release their numbers. So we have no specific information about Edmond in particular, but from my understanding, they won't release their numbers to us so that we could give you more specific to this area. But I think it is very telling, the Oklahoma City map. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is that some of the map that you see where it's a little sparser, it's because culturally there's either a distrust of law enforcement or there is some other barrier that is keeping people from help seeking. So it's not that it's not happening there, it's that they don't feel safe to even access services.
And
or they
of course,
don't think
fewer
that
people live there also, of course.
And they don't think that their services may be in the language that they speak more fluently is available. So we do have interpreters available, and there are also partners that are Spanish speaking in particular.
Yes, thank you, Amber, yes. So this is a swirl, and I can read you things on it, but different forms of abuse, as I already referred to, it's not just the whap or the push. It's so many other things as we've already referred to. So forms of abuse include physical, certainly, sexual, misuse, violent use, of verbal and emotional, words that dig at you, control you, put you down. You've experienced that. Mental and psychological, getting to you. Financial and economic, we've already referred to that, for sure, that control. And then cultural, spiritual identity, gender identity, all that can be misused. You want to give an example out of your situations?
And we're talking about the power and control wheel.
Well, we can, certainly, yeah.
Well, one of these is one of the things that I received when I came into Palomar. It was the first time I'd ever seen anything like this. And it talks about all of these elements. And as I was reading it, I sat there and I thought, well, everybody, this applies to everybody,
Now, let's
doesn't
go
it?
on to the next slide, which is that. Yeah.
Okay, yes, exactly.
Yeah, I know you can't read the tiny print.
But it has all the different elements of, the spiritual abuse. For example, I was doing every Bible study I could come up with. And I was seeking God with a very flawed man. And for me, I was doing these Bible studies and I was seeking, and they never applied to me. I had been so tainted and so gaslit over the spiritual side of my marriage that I was unclear. I was discombobulated. And the spiritual warfare that I experienced in my marriage, and actually more so leaving it, was scary. It was scary, and it was a real situation.
Yeah.
And so you find yourself in a wheel of violence, and the nuances that come with it are so finite. And we talk about, the power and control of a relationship, and you literally give up the control. It's not in a vacuum. You're not going to have violence without psychological warfare.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. How about you, Amber?
Certainly some spiritual abuse occurred. One of the things that he often would tell me was we got married in the Catholic Church, so I couldn't leave him, so we couldn't get a divorce, and that I took a vow, and my vow was sacred, and so I had to stay. Because my child does not share my DNA, there was a lot of abuse utilizing my relationship with her and my grandchildren. They are not yours. You did not give birth to her. I will manage to ruin your relationship with Karina and the kids. There was a lot of embarrassing me behind the scenes that I didn't know was occurring with my profession and my place of employment. He was going behind me and belittling me and making statements that were factually untrue. There was a lot of coercion, a lot of behaviors that made it very difficult for me to get clear-headed. I have an illness that sometimes causes me to get a little foggy when I'm not feeling well, and he would utilize that against me. So anything that can be used will be used. One of the things that I like to tell people is it doesn't happen at first. It doesn't happen quickly. It's usually a very slow thing. And it's like being in a room with carbon monoxide. You don't know it's happening. You can't see it, smell it, feel it. You have no idea it's there until you're too weak to get out. And by this point, they usually have you isolated from your friends and family. People don't want to associate with you because, I don't know about Kara, but it's messy. Okay, my family didn't want to deal with him. He would send text messages and messages behind my back that I didn't know was occurring, and effectively ruining my relationships with what little family I had left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very calculated. They know exactly what they're doing. They're not somebody who you can just pray it away. This is on purpose.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and we have, as you see, copies of that wheel, those of you who want to have it. I'm glad to say, on the other side is the healthy relationship wheel. We don't have that up on a screen, but I want you to look at that too. And I found as a church leader myself that I chose to do a series on healthy marriages. Now, having served at Palomar, I pray that people came who needed it and didn't avoid it. But, you can teach. Churches are I'm going to put this up later too, churches are a good resource for people for healing. Sometimes in conspicuous ways, but sometimes in subtle ways, huh? I'm sure, I certainly have my own story of not in domestic violence, but other things that happened to me where I was grateful for the healing that came in my life. So let's go to the next slide. That's not fitting on, Ben. There we go. Barriers. There are always barriers to leaving, and this says Palomar has identified 115 more and more reasons why people don't leave. You've already referred to some of them, but I'm not going to read every little word on there, but it can be everything from threatening the children and the pets. If you go, you know, what I'm going to do to the neck of the pet or the kid, or, you know, if you do this, I'm going to go, if you talk about this, I'm going to go to jail. Do you want me to go to jail? And all that sort of stuff. And the behaviors of this kind of stuff from the church. One survivor, a voice also, Kathy, told me that she had stayed with her abuser in their church, I believe it was 35 or 36 years, because of that teaching. You don't leave. Now, she wasn't Catholic. She was in a conservative Protestant church that just said, your marriage is sacred and you don't leave. Once she left, she could become who God made her to be, healthy and whole, functional. But, you know, there all this of what people will think of me when this is exposed. I mean, thank you for being willing to talk about this, you know, because everybody doesn't want to talk about those secrets behind the walls of their home. The other thing, just that we can fix this. Oh, yeah. We can fix this. We can make it, etc. But anyway, a whole lot of these reasons. Let's look at the next one. So this is characteristics of an abusive relationship, and I didn't warn you ahead of time, I don't think, but I'd like for you to each read one of the four. Take two.
Oh, I can't see that.
You can't see that.
No.
Okay.
But you would be great at that.
Amber
'cause you have
can
eyes.
see it well enough to read it all.
I have my bifocals on. Kara does not have hers.
And you can comment, Kara.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
This goes a lot to what Kara was saying earlier about victims often do not recognize the behavior they're experiencing as abuse. And that also goes back to what we were saying earlier about when you grow up in this kind of dysfunction, that's what appears and feels normal. It certainly did to me because I grew up in a violent home. So I did not know until I was 16 that most people's parents did not beat them. And that's not exaggerated. That's the truth. Survivors of abuse are in relationships with someone they love and may hope to see the change. And I think that goes to what you were saying about going to all the church Bible studies.
Right. Am I supposed to read?
No,
No.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Comment on what she's already.
My comment when it comes to, I really don't have many.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's read the third one.
Abusers can be seen as exemplary members of the faith community. My ex-husband was a member of the Knights of Columbus, which is a very prominent men's group in the Catholic Church. He was an officer. He built ramps for people who had disabilities. He was seen as this amazing, wonderful person. He volunteered with Catholic charities. So how could I go to my priest and tell him that I was being coercively controlled by my husband? And then abusers may tend to be master manipulators and deceivers. That's the truth. Anything to say about that?
Well, I can definitely speak to that. With my abuser, he worked for the governor. I was really enamored with his power in the beginning. I was love bombed to no end. And I thought that the social standing equated to morally, spiritually, the whole thing coming as a package. And when you come back and you speak to the master manipulators, it was definitely a grooming of me, so to speak. And I go back to, coming into Palomar and this wheel and having the examples of the nonviolence. I was so shocked that I had become this person, and I was oblivious to it. Here I am, a transparent, charismatic person that was living two different lives. And, but the manipulation of it and the status of it was just a massive facade. It was a massive facade
Yeah.
for
Thank
everybody.
you. Yeah, now, let's pull that back out to the whole thing, Ben. So down on the bottom is this important note: only 3 to 9% of abuse reports are false. Everybody hear that, because among the very first things that is important to do, and it's already been said, is to believe. To believe. So instead of, as a, here you are, church members, you're good people, and somebody dares to come up and tell you, dares, scared to death to tell you, everything's not right at my home. I think there's something bad going on, is not to say, oh, well, let me talk to your spouse. No, don't do that, and make sure this is right. Believe them.
The believing part is by far, that's what kept me coming back. Because I literally, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, when they told me there was a place for me to go, I call it my weirdo wagon. I knew things one day were going to escalate, because it had gotten to the point with the beatings and things like that it was going to escalate. And when I came into Palomar, I call it my weirdo wagon, and it was full of all of my proof.
All your what?
Proof.
Oh, proof, yeah.
All my proof. And I was like, I need somebody to look this over. I need some grounding. I need somebody to believe me. And it is by far the most powerful phrase that you can give a survivor is, I believe you.
Yeah.
And then the anxiety of selling your story is over. It's the, do you get it? Do you get why I'm leaving? That kind of a thing. And when you're believed, it's just a calmness that you're like, okay, you get it, and this is what happened. And I don't have to be dramatic about it, and I don't have to
And you're not alone.
And I'm not alone. Not alone at all.
Yeah, Amber.
Unfortunately.
I really just want to say that I was married for 17 years, and in that 17 years, he had never raised a hand to me at all. He had never put his hands on me until the very last day. All the other 17 years had been full of abuse. I just couldn't see it. I wouldn't see it, because sometimes you know things and you don't want to know them apply to you. I am a marriage and family therapist by trade. That is what I do for a living, and was doing it at the time. And I still could not allow myself to believe that this was happening to me. And I know that sometimes that's hard to understand if you've never experienced it, but it's really something that happens. It's called cognitive dissonance, and that's a very real thing.
How long after you were married did this start?
Oh, probably pretty immediate, in the several months. He was slow about it, but it was little things. Oh, you're sick. It's okay, you stay home today. Or I wore something that was low cut, and, oh, I don't really like that blouse. I wish you'd wear something up here. And so then it got to where I was continuously only wearing things that were up here, because that's part of what coercive control is. It's little things. Oh, I don't like that black shirt, Janie. So then Janie never wears the black shirt again. See how it becomes very...
Creeping in.
Yeah.
Your identity.
Right. And it's not in a kind way. It's not in, that black shirt really doesn't flatter you. It's not like that. It's very different.
It's derogatory.
Put
Yeah.
down. Put
Yeah.
down. And I'd like to insert again, remember the statistics. Men also
100%.
are the victims, and women sometimes are the perpetrators.
Absolutely.
Sad but true.
Especially in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, yes. So we're out in faith communities because you have such an important role to play for those who are members and here with you, yes, but also perhaps in your neighborhoods and your groups that you're part of. when we finish today, you're welcome to take any of these. I know Amber and Kara are going to take these right away. This is a poster to put up that has little tear-offs, because I know I put them in the church I attend. I put them on the inside doors at the bathrooms so someone could secretly get a phone number and could call. This is how to come in person or to call Palomar. That's who, of course, we're representing. We have the copies, as I said, of the wheel, and then pamphlets about Palomar itself. So you can look at any of those if you want at the end, but certainly faith communities have a role. Let's go. So the challenges are that statistics show that abusers, again, are well-liked, seen as leaders, as you've already given us the example, and often they're believed more than the victims. The sad but true, the perpetrator will say, "Of course we're going to church today. You got to go and don't let anyone act sad. You got to smile." Manipulate the emotions so that you show up. We're all having such a happy time at our house, and all of that, right?
For sure.
So churches get fooled that way sometimes, and people fool themselves. So it therefore happens that leadership, not just the pastor, but others often rally around the abusers. They've been the ones as the examples of helpers, leaders, they're voting and doing things. And if they're married, of course, again, often leadership in churches work to keep the marriages together. And the abusers often present as remorseful. "Oh, I didn't ever mean to be that way. I'm so sorry. I asked for forgiveness," and etc. down that path, and then the forgiveness is forced. Yeah, right. And the leadership sometimes, lastly, just to summarize, often prematurely accept the abuser's repentance and see evidence of change, but the change is not really back home, just out there to present to the public. So that's some of the hazards, and you got to watch out for, but let's go to the next. So the advantages, of course, I've already referred to is, but this is important for you to know and share with others. Victims may be more likely to disclose abuse to a safe person in their faith community. Hard to know who to tell this scary stuff to, isn't it? Hard. Who will believe me? This is crazy. They won't. But faith communities sometimes can be the place where somebody can dare to talk. And faith communities, as I've referred to already, have a place where you can preach and teach about both the bad and the good. Talk about what's healthy, what's the good, and to maybe break through. You never know when you might be able to break through to someone who grew up with all that, as you've said, in their own home. Oh, that's not the way it always is. And then, you have the ability to hand out, as I've already referred to, post things. Let's go ahead. So there's a 10-year study of church leadership that says that generally, this is of faith communities across the nation, they want to help both the victims and the abusers, but they're afraid of getting caught up in legal battles. And sometimes that's the manipulation. And it'll cost the whole church. We'll go down in flames if we get caught up, and then we're to blame if we get too involved and get money taken from us. Afraid to give poor advice. What if I do something that's more harm than good? And then expressed lack of education. And certainly you're welcome to come. Palomar has walkthroughs, tours, and we have a staff member that is for helping with community. She also does presentations out and about and with others. There's more if you want more. Ask for it. What else would you say? Anything, what was that stat you were telling me right before? I want you to get your mic. And this was different, but Kara, getting ready, started doing some more research and found
that only 13% of congregations will speak of domestic violence.
Say that one more time, a little louder.
13% of congregations will only 13% will speak of domestic violence in the church. There are seriously not enough resources. But more importantly, what I want to say about this is that the healing takes place in the church, but we all know that we're human. And one of the things that I would recommend for anybody in leadership is to almost outsource this. If that's what we're here for. We're your one-stop shop. We're the people that you're gonna know somebody, or know somebody right now that doesn't have an option. And
They're sitting in this room.
or they're sitting in this room. Okay? There are people in here that are wounded. And that's where we come in. And, it could be, one of the things I would definitely speak to is the confidentiality of a victim coming forward.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in that position, you have been anointed, and you need to respond accordingly.
Yeah.
And accordingly would be, pray with them, but give them resources of the experts. And
Empower
that's what we
them,
do.
yeah. Victims have been disempowered, able to do nothing, and don't take it away and say, oh, I'll make some calls for you, or I'll talk to, no.
Yeah,
Always the power has to stay in the hands of the one who can learn, you mean I can do something? Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead then. So our vision is that healing takes place in all these ways, body, mind, and spirit. So, I've already referred to some of the partners who help with the body, and Kara certainly has referred to the Y as one of our short-term shelters. When somebody leaves home, a victim may leave, have no car. I've been with victims who have been brought to Palomar's doorstep by a police officer in a police car.
Often.
Yes, often. Or by somebody who's bought them a bus ticket. I'm active in the wider metro, and I probably told you one of my interfaith friends, a Muslim wonderful couple, had heard me talk, and this physician woman, the wife of that couple, called me and said, I was at this service station, and a woman was there, and this woman disclosed to a stranger that she was running away from an abuse. And my friend said, what do I do, Janie? I said, get her down here. And they helped provide I think they got an Uber, and she appeared on our doorstep to get help. Yeah. So it's body. So we have places they can go spend the night for a few nights before they get other accommodation.
Safety, truly safety.
We have a clothing store for new or near new only. No, don't give us your pile of stuff. Because sometimes people leave without anything.
And they also leave very downtrodden, so to speak. A lot of women haven't been able to work, and so they may have to go into the clothing closet to get things to actually work, because you're going to have to work. Broke girls can't stay gone. It doesn't work. You've got to have resources.
Income.
Income.
Yeah.
And so that's where the clothing closet.
So those, so the physical body stuff, food and clothing and a place safely to sleep, and health and nutrition, we referred to the exams that can take place, so that sometimes those initial exams are helpful in the police report. Police officer comes down, gets the report, and is able to sometimes make a case and have, protective order or other things. And then mind, of course, we've already referred many times to that manipulation and the fogging up of the victim's own thinking, not knowing what to do, how to do it, or whether to. And the counseling groups, some one-on-one, but counseling groups can be helpful, or my spiritual care groups, because I'm not the only one this has happened to. Oh, there are others.
I found, and you can speak to this as well, is when you're in a group and you finally found your people, and it doesn't matter if they're green, blue, black, or what have you, and you're like, you are speaking my language. I could finish your sentences. I don't know you.
Yeah.
I don't know you, but I know you. Mm-hmm. You get me.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most empowering positions to be in. And my friend group looks like the United Nations now. And it's everywhere.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything there?
The only thing I would say is that also you don't have to be of any certain persuasion to get help from Palomar.
Yeah.
So it is Christians, Muslims, witches, agnostics, atheists, everyone is welcome. Any race, anything. We pride ourselves on helping everyone who needs it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, oh yes, for sure.
Yes.
For sure. Yes.
40% of men in Oklahoma have experienced domestic violence or sexual assault. 40%. So I did the
sometime in their lifetime.
I did the math, and that was 800,000 men have experienced in the state of Oklahoma. Almost 2 million women.
Yeah. So
1 million
So the
women.
third part, of course, is then spiritual, which I've already referred to. And as you've well illustrated, this is not a Christian organization, so, I never assume that somebody's going to, while I'm a Jesus follower, I'm not assuming that the person in front of me wants me to pray in those words or pray at all. So if I've heard somebody's story, then I'll say, do you want to pray? Keep the power in their hands. And if they say yes, often will say, do you want me to say some words, or do you want to speak some words of prayer? It's a joint effort. And then to find out too, I was with somebody, a victim lately, who, when I said, do you have a faith tradition? And she said, I'm spiritual. One of those, you've heard that phrase, spiritual but not religious. And so, it's not, for me, it's not necessary to name Jesus to somebody. But if the holy is there, I believe that always. And so anyway, all of that, all three. We're getting close to when we'll close, so let's look through a couple of more slides. So we just want to work as partners with you, faith communities. Let us know. Julie certainly has our contact, and we can help you if you need more. Let's go ahead. And so we want to build Oklahoma into a community of strength and healing. You don't do that until it's still bleeding. Oh, I'm bleeding. I can't fix the wound until you know that it's there. And so we're hoping to alert and help people break through to know. So always prioritizing safety. We've already covered that. Let's go on to the next. So here are some important numbers. And I did not look to see if that's certainly our Palomar numbers. Oh, yeah.
So on the prior slide, one of the things that I just want to make sure that we point out in particular is that oftentimes victims will go back to their abusers an average of 7 times before leaving for good. So please know that that is something that happens, and do not get discouraged when you're helping someone and they return, because it's hard to leave and it's hard to stay gone for a
Yeah.
variety of reasons.
Thank you.
So please,
Yeah,
I know it gets frustrating because as a helper, I've been there when you're helping people and they leave and come back and leave and come back and leave and come back. But it is really hard to make that leap.
big change. So yes, I'm looking at our brochure. It does have both the Palomar number and the SAFE number. But if you want to click that with your camera, you can capture those other numbers. Yeah.
Going back to the previous slide is the concept of the mind, body, and spirit, you know, that it's the trifecta. And when I initially went into Palomar, I had decided to omit God from my healing.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't know where I got this great idea, but I thought, you know, I have tried everything else and I'm just going to remove him. And I had done a lot of work, and then I met Janie, and she interrupted everything. And I realized that I could not be whole until I took the spiritual component and I interjected it in the middle of the messy. And I will tell you, my healing journey began the minute I gave it back. And the church is so instrumental, and you don't know if you're going to be that voice of reason. And if you could just, this is my wish and my prayer for everybody, is that just believe them. Just believe them until you know anything different, and send them our way, because we'll believe them, and we'll take them back 7 times, and we'll say, we understand, you've got one more time. Let's hope you make it out, you know?
Yes, and by the way, I know I commented to some of you, and we did up front about, we love your T-shirts, live generously, oh, with heart, good for you. Okay, let's look at the last. So prioritizing safety, let's go on up, we've covered those, and go on, Ben. So here are some books that are, if you want to take a photo of those that are, or you can, of course, Google the great world of Googling and searching and find resources that might be helpful if you want to have book kinds of, thank you for taking pictures over there. A leader has, and she can share those with you. Got that one? Now let's go, there's another one. Let's go up to the next one.
Jamie, can we email the PDF out? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure, sure. Ben has that. You guys can do that. Yeah, that's right. Thanks. Okay, last bit. So, you know, you've interspersed questions. Thank you very much. And so we're here to, any last questions to the group? Yeah.
I'm curious if there's a way as an individual that is helpful to make it clear that you're a safe space for people. I understand like how you can respond, but how do you get people to know that you're someone?
Oh, that's interesting.
I think that posting social media sites or social media information is helpful because we're all on there, whether we want to be or not, for the most part. And also, if someone brings up something, you can respond in kind, you know, because it's the language we use also, because I think it's really important to be aware of the things that we say as well. I don't know that I have anything more specific.
You have anything, Kara?
If I was in charge, I would, and I think you're speaking to, how do you let that known person in a congregation know that I am your sacred space? And that's up to a congregation. That's up to you guys to know that you're the secret keeper, that you take these prayers and these ideas and you digest them, and you know, you have a plan, because it will happen. If it's not happened already in your congregation, it's here.
Yeah. Who else? You had a question?
So I know that,
Hold please, hang on. We have this live streaming, so we want to make sure everything's in the microphone. And I think the first question, just to repeat it, was
Thank you.
basically, how do we as individuals, like,
Yes.
let people know
Yes.
that we're a safe space?
Yes.
so you've mostly been talking about kind of heteronormative relationships.
Yes.
Are there
Oh, yes.
resources for queer couples?
Oh, yes.
Same-sex?
Oh, yes.
Yes, that was,
I was asking if there are resources for same-sex couples or queer folks or people
For
in
sure.
non-traditional relationships.
yes, there are. That was one of the first questions I asked when I went to Palomar because I am a queer woman. I was married to a man, now I'm married to a woman. She's right behind you. That's who is patting you. They do have specific information and assistance for people who are within our community.
Yeah. Thank you for asking, yes. Any other questions? And certainly you can chat with us when we are all standing up and leaving. Anything else? Thank you.
Well, I just want to thank you all so much for being here with us and to honor the courage of you sharing your story.
Yes.
So thank you for that, and it seems weird to applaud for that, but we are grateful that you are here and sharing your trauma with us so that we can learn and learn how to be a partner. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
I did have one other handout. Let me just wave it. It's on the front side, it says for faith communities, it's a chart of what to do, and the back side is what not to do. So if you want to take a peek at that also,
Yeah.
I'll lay these things out.
Well, we will turn off the live stream now, and thank you again for being here so much, and they're available for individual questions and conversation. So thank you.